a passenger asked me for one strange favor. Honestly, at the time, it seemed like a small thing. But 6 hours later, the entire bus was stopped because of him. At that moment, I had no idea that an ordinary trip from Przemyśl to Paris would turn into one of the strangest stories of my career. Back then, I had already been working international routes for 9 years. During that time, I learned how to read people quickly. Usually it only takes a few minutes to figure out whether you're dealing with a tourist, a worker heading abroad, a student, or someone who clearly has problems. But that evening, I was wrong. It all started in Przemyśl. Passengers were gradually gathering near the bus. Some were saying goodbye to their families, some were dragging heavy suitcases, and others were already looking for their seats. I was checking tickets when a man in his 40s approached the door. Dark jacket, small sports bag over his shoulder. Nothing unusual, except for one thing. He kept looking around, not like someone searching for a friend, more like someone afraid of being found. He handed me his ticket. I was about to let him board when he suddenly leaned closer. "Can I ask you for a favor?" "I'm listening." He hesitated for a few seconds. Then he quietly said, "If anyone asks about me during the trip, tell them I'm not here." I actually smiled. "Is this some kind of joke?" "No." "Are you hiding from someone?" He didn't answer. He just looked me straight in the eyes. "Just promise me." To be honest, I thought he had argued with his wife or was trying to avoid an unpleasant conversation. Things like that happen. "All right," I replied. "If anyone asks, we'll deal with it." For the first time, his face relaxed. "Thank you." Then he walked into the bus. And within a minute, I had already forgotten about the conversation. Or at least, that's what I thought. The first few hours of the journey were completely normal. We crossed the border. Passengers settled into their seats. Some watched movies, some fell asleep. Others endlessly scrolled through their phones. Around 2 in the morning, we stopped at a large service station in Germany. A standard break. Coffee, restrooms, fresh air. Passengers started getting off the bus. Almost all of them. Except one. The same man. He stayed in his seat, staring through the window at the parking lot, as if he were waiting for someone, or afraid of someone. I was standing beside the bus when a young woman approached me. She looked nervous. "Excuse me, may I ask something?" "Of course." "Is there a man named Artem on your bus?" Something clicked inside me. I immediately remembered his request. "I don't know. It's very important." "What happened?" She glanced around, as if she didn't want anyone to hear. "I need to find him." At that moment, another man stepped up beside her, tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a dark jacket. He didn't say a word. He just stared at the bus. And for some reason, I felt uneasy. "Are you sure he's not here?" the woman asked again. "I'm sorry, but I can't help you." She looked disappointed, then thanked me and walked away. A few minutes later, we continued the trip. As the bus pulled away, I glanced into the mirror. The passenger was still looking back, watching the service station disappear into the darkness. He looked like someone who had just escaped a serious danger. About an hour later, he approached me himself. "Did anyone ask about me?" I didn't hide the truth. "Yes." He immediately turned pale. "A woman?" "Yes." He closed his eyes and remained silent for several seconds. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing specific." He slowly exhaled. "Thank you." Then he returned to his seat. But by then, I was genuinely curious. What was going on? Who was he? And why was he so afraid of being found? The answer came sooner than I expected. It was around 5 in the morning. The sky was beginning to brighten. There were very few vehicles on the highway. Suddenly, flashing blue lights appeared in my rearview mirror. Then another set, and another. 3 police vehicles were approaching fast. I immediately knew something serious was happening. They signaled for me to pull over. The entire bus fell silent. Even the sleeping passengers woke up. The officers boarded the bus. One of them immediately turned to me. "Do you have a passenger named Artem Koval on board?" My hands went cold. I instinctively looked toward the cabin. The man was sitting calmly in his seat, as if he had known this moment would come. The officers walked toward him. Every passenger watched in silence. Nobody even reached for their phone. The tension was almost physical. I was certain they were about to arrest him. But then something happened that nobody expected. The officer extended his hand and said, "We finally found you." For a second, I thought I had misheard him, but I hadn't. They didn't put handcuffs on him. They didn't search him. They didn't treat him like a suspect. Quite the opposite. They looked relieved to see him. A few minutes later, one of the officers asked me to step outside. There, he briefly explained the situation. And what I heard left me stunned. Artem wasn't a criminal, far from it. 6 months earlier, he had become a key witness in a major criminal case. His testimony helped expose an international human trafficking network. After the trial, the threats began. Anonymous phone calls, messages, warnings, people watching his house, photographing his family, his children. Eventually, he stopped trusting anyone, even the people trying to protect him. A few days before our trip, authorities received intelligence about a possible assassination attempt. That was why they were looking for him. Not to arrest him, to protect him. The woman at the service station turned out to be a security officer. She was trying to reach him before the people he was hiding from did. Even after hearing the explanation, I could hardly believe it. All night long, I had been convinced I was transporting a man with a dark secret. Instead, he was risking his life because he had chosen to tell the truth. The police eventually left. The bus continued toward Paris. The tension slowly faded. Passengers began discussing what they had witnessed. Some created their own theories. Others joked about it. But only a handful of people knew the real story. When we finally arrived in Paris, Artem approached me before getting off. "Do you remember my request?" "I do," he smiled, for the first time during the entire journey. "Now you understand why I asked you not to tell anyone I was here." "Yes, and thank you." I shook his hand. "Take care of yourself." "I'll try." He picked up his bag and disappeared into the crowd. I never saw him again, but I still remember that trip, because it taught me something important. On the road, first impressions are often wrong. Sometimes the person who seems the most suspicious is simply someone trying to stay alive.